This is Spirit Journey, and today is November, Friday the 13th, 2015, and it's just after 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm actually just getting up, and I'd like to share with you what happened to me yesterday. Yeah, as you know, I'm on my spirit journey, and I'm trying different things, ways to, explore the world around me. And recently, I've been watching videos by this woman. Her name is Dolores Cannon. She's a past life hypnotherapist, and she devised a technique of what she calls quantum healing hypnosis therapy, QHHT. She recently passed away. She passed away last year, around October. I think October of last year, 2014. And she was in the field of hypnosis and discovering past lives for over 30 years. She started in the 1960s, I think it was. And it's just by fluke that she had a patient. I think she was somebody's, a military wife, and the woman, the patient was asked to go there, and spontaneously she, under hypnosis, she started talking about this past life, and that's when her study really, Dolores Cannon's field really started developing as we know it today. So what happened yesterday with me, my seeing all these videos about the subject and Dolores Cannon and patients who have undergone the quantum healing hypnosis therapy, I decided at a whim yesterday to get it done. And she has a website, even though she passed away, but her daughter still runs the organization, the clinic, and so the website is still up. They have practitioners of this QHHT, and I found a practitioner near where I live. So at a whim, it could have been maybe 1 o'clock. I called 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I called this person, and he agreed that I can come by that same day. He told me that the whole process from beginning to end could take up to like 5 hours. So be prepared to stay 5 hours, because part of that time he'll be interviewing me. He told me also to get a list of questions. So, I was a little hesitant at first, because I never met him. He had a photo, on the website, his website. And I said to myself, just go anyhow. Don't base everything by his looks, and, etc. I go, and he at first, let's see, he wasn't at the door, he wasn't at his office when I came. I arrived early, and what was funny, I thought, hey, maybe this is a bad sign. because I knocked on the door and there's no response. And then I went to call them on my cell phone, and my my phone has, you know, this button you can press for for them to call them. Like it has Sirius, I think it's called, you know, of voice um, voice messaging thing, um, to you know, to like make a query for you, or to dial a number for you. And when I asked for it to dial this person's number, it said, sorry, you don't have any phone number for this person. But it brought up to the screen the person's name that I had um, saved on my cell phone. I said, why isn't it dialing it? And then I tried it 3 more times, 2 or 3 more times, and the same thing, but his name is on my cell phone and popped up. It's not dialing on my dials. So I said, oh brother, maybe this is a bad sign. Here, his name pops up on my cell phone, but it says he doesn't have the number, and I can see the number written. Well, in short with that, I had typed in his number in the wrong spot, and so where I was supposed to type in the number, it wasn't in that location. So I realized what would happen, and so I wrote the number down on a separate piece of paper and then manually dialed the number, and that worked. And he responded on the second ring, and I said, oh, I'm at your door. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a cup of coffee, and, you know, my apologies, I'll be right up. So he arrived maybe 10 minutes later, and he was apologetic. And I felt comfortable with them, you know. We go in his office, and I was told to take off my shoes when to enter his place. And I said, okay. So I said, you know, I used to live in Hawaii, and that's kind of like custom there. You take off your shoes before you enter the door. And he said, well, I used to live in Sweden, and that's where I learned that. I said, oh, wow. Yes, I've been to Sweden also, but that I didn't know about. And so the conversation is starting to develop, and he seemed like a regular guy, you know, even though the photo seemed a little bit more, you know, not as inviting, but him in person seemed fine, you know. So I made myself comfortable, and you know, I sat down, and then he sat down, and we just started chatting a little bit. He asked me, let's see, I told him, let's see, even before I sat down, I said, yeah, I was in the military, and blah, blah. So the interview is really going on, even at the beginning when I'm taking off my shoes. You know, he's finding out about myself. And, you know, he shares with me a story, and so I'm just thinking, I guess it's to understand about the process, you know. That I was surprised at. You know, he did that maybe twice, gave me a long story about something, to, I guess, to make a point about, you know, what hypnosis is, and his experience. So, but I felt comfortable, and I knew I was going to be there for 5 hours, so whether he wants to talk for 10 or 15 minutes about something, you know, I just felt it was a process to make me feel comfortable, you know. And I did feel comfortable talking to him. He seemed like what I call a New Yorker type, you know. middle age. Actually, we're about the same age. He's just 1 month older than me. So we're the same era, and that was interesting, though. You know. Then when it came down to it, you know, the session was to be recorded, but on his device, he had a portable microphone. He said that he'll place it by the pillow that I would be lying on. You know, my head would be resting on, and I wasn't to use any of I wasn't to videotape it. I had brought my device, and he said that he didn't want, like he said, his reason was if I videotape it, and let's say if I'm under, and if I start to cry or something, then I might be self-conscious about what I look like, and that I might stop wanting to cry or do something because how I might look on camera, um, which I did not agree. You know, but again, it's his office, and I just figured that if I record it, um, it might show, you know, I would have just had it showing on me and not him. But if he didn't want to have what his technique is to put the person under, you know, and I think that's what it really was about. Because, you know, but I didn't argue with them, and it's his right how he wants it done. And I didn't have to pay extra to have him record it. So I said, okay. And the induction, basically, like he first had me imagine I was at home, at my home, where I'm from, and to describe what it looked like and where things were in relationship to other things, you know, where I lived. And then let's see, yeah, so the first part of the induction is visualization, and then you know, to get relaxed, and then imagine, I think, looking up at the sky, yeah, visualizing a cloud above my head, and that traveling up into the cloud, and then resting on it, and that it's moving, and it's bringing you to a place, and then it says going back in time, and then the cloud is going to drop down slowly, and then to get off the cloud, and then, you know, where you are. So at this point, it's about, and also his voice, you know, what, you know, you ever hear on television or something when someone, a hypnotherapist is talking very slow, monotone, and drawing out every word. That's how he was getting. And at some point, I wanted to laugh, you know, but I didn't. But I was holding back a laughter at certain times early on when he was trying to put me under. Um, when I was to get off the cloud, I was to describe what I see, and then to look down below. And I felt I was awake. I mean, I was lying down, have covers on, a blanket on top of me. But I was not, this might have been 10 minutes, 8 minutes into the induction. And I mean, I was relaxed. It was a great pillow and couch. It was very comfortable. But I was fully aware. I was able to move. You know, my eye kept on itching. So I was rubbing my eyes at least twice under the induction. And I felt like I'm like I really didn't know what to say, and two people I described a little bit, and I felt, I mean, I didn't physically like the same way how you could imagine you see your childhood home. I don't actually see it, but I could like imagine, you know, the room I was in and something like that, you know. So that's how the whole thing went, and I felt that I felt once or twice that he was putting words in my mouth, like making an assumption. Um, and then, let's see, I felt that I was forced to say something. He's all like he said, like you know, what do you see? I said, well, I don't see anything. And he says, oh, you sure you do. You see something. You know, let your subconscious through. You know, just go by your, you know, like your instinct. You know, what your impression. What do you see it? And so I felt like I was forced to say something. So I let myself imagine something. I did just like a whim. And that's all that it really was. It's not like something, like I told him something about that I was carrying apples. Like I was thinking about apples. So I said, oh, apples. He said, oh, you bring who you bring the apples to, you know, what do you look like? You know, are you male or female? And just whatever whim I felt, I just went with it. The whole thing went like that. And many times I just said, you know, I don't see anything, or I don't get any impression about this or that, you know. But the tape went on for 2 hours, he said. He taped the thing, and that's not including the induction. That's another thing. That's interesting. When he taped it, he didn't tape the induction part. And he said because, you know, after the procedure, he said that he does not want, when I listen to, because he encouraged me to listen to the tape over and over and over again. You know, that's what he stressed. Just keep on listening to it over again. But he doesn't want me to hear, you know, the induction, because it might put me under. But I was never, in my opinion, I wasn't put under. I always had control over movement, like I was wiggling my toes to see if I'm able to move. I was able to scratch my eye, you know, rub my eye, all those things. So all my faculties I had control over. And it was just my lying down on the pillow and listen to him. I was relaxed. I was getting more and more relaxed as this session went on, because I decided, let me just go with this. I'm going to be here for 5 hours and 2 or more hours under induction. Just play along. And So that's what it really was for me. He was a top level um, inductionist, in the field of quantum healing, hypnosis therapy. And I think he says there's only 10 of them in the country or in the world, something like that. It's like level 1, 2, and 3, and um, the person has level 3. So what did I make out of the whole thing? Well, when I got home from the session, I listened to a person going through that same type of session I've been through. Not under the same practitioner, but it was on YouTube. And so I'm wondering whether it was the same thing for them. But theirs were detailed. See, mine wasn't detailed. I just at brief moments said, oh, okay, I think it's a man and his bare feet, you know. Then he asked about to speak with my higher conscious. And when he's asking about my higher conscious, why I felt such and such, like we were asked to, before the session to have questions and handed to him. So he was asking questions that I wrote down. And I didn't know the answer. I just said, well, maybe, so I'm thinking, well, if my higher conscious knows everything, I don't know who my higher conscious is, and this higher conscious wasn't in control of the session. It was always me, and he just said, "Oh, well, could I talk to your higher conscious?" He's asking me. I said, "Sure." Yeah. So I thought maybe you'd be able to get, So it's interesting because the technique's supposed to remove your conscious mind, either to get that out the way and go directly to the subconscious. And for my conscious to just be like in the passenger seat of a car, so to speak, and let him do all the driving. But I'm not sure whether that actually occurred. I don't think it did. My conscious didn't know the answer. I just imagined what the answer could be. I said, well, I don't know. Or I cannot see. He says, well, you're the high conscious, you know everything, and, say something. So I just, like grabbing straws and just said whatever at a whim, So that's what happened. And I'm glad I went through the technique. It was very expensive, but I did it. So again, part of my spirit journey is to explore different things. I'm not sure whether I will post the video, I mean not the video, the audio tape of the session. I just felt that it was not an induction, and I don't want to put out something and say that this is on a hypnosis, because I wasn't under. And so I'm not saying that everyone who goes through hypnosis was under the same state I was in, awake and just going along and whatever whim that pops in your head. I think some of those people, they are under, their reasoning and their phraseology, you know, is different than the regular person. So I think someone like that, I'm sorry, we had gotten cut off. I'm not sure how much of the video, but I was ending the conversation regarding my GHHT experience. So, would I recommend getting quantum healing, quantum healing hypnosis therapy? I would just say, the you know, if you don't know what else to do, you can, excuse me, you can try it, and just see what happens. If you have the money to do it, you know, you could do it, but just beware that you know, nothing may really happen, and you know, you just want to do it for experience, you know, go for it. But for, you know, discovering, you know, what might be authentic and what may not be. So again, it's all part of a journey and a learning experience, and I want to be in a position of knowing rather than believing. So do I believe in QHHT? For me, no, I wouldn't. But maybe for you, it might be a yes. So it's all about free choice and a free journey for all of us. So let me know what you think, and share your experiences using QHHT or any other hypnosis therapy. And yes, comment below. You can share this video with your friends or family, and you could subscribe to my channel, Spirit Journey, and as usual, to give me the thumbs up for this video. Take care and enjoy your weekend.